Hello Fearless Gamers, Matt here on Fearless Games, and today I'd like to talk about models with a legacy. This is something that James did on his Keeper the Fortress forum, and I did one as well about a Dreadnought that I had. And it's basically, models with a legacy. We all got them. Some model or squadron or something that's done something either incredibly epic or really, really stupid, to the point where they just have this huge reputation where whenever they go out on the field, everybody knows what it is. They're like, oh, there he is, and oh, I gotta fight him, or oh, this is gonna be easy. They always get that reaction. Everyone is able to recognize it on the board when you bring it out at your local gaming store and among your friends. And today, I've got two models with a legacy that I'm going to talk about. The first one just started its legacy, and that is my Baneblade the Preemptory. Now, my Baneblade here is, what its legacy is for is the fact that it's a Baneblade that lives up to the fluff of a Baneblade in terms of how durable and just awesome amount of firepower that this thing can hold. And by this, what I'm going to say is, this Black Friday that just came up, we did this thing at our gaming store called Thanksgiving. It's where we get together and they do like an apocalypse battle. Everyone puts in money for prizes, we buy pizza and all that, and we basically game from like noon to midnight. It's ridiculous. I think there was 6 or 7 people there. Then there was 3 Chaos, 3 Imperials, and I think two Independents, and then it kind of grew, then there was 4 and 4, and it just got a little bigger and bigger. But in general, it was, on average, at any given time, there was a minimum of 3 versus 3. And I was kind of stuck in the middle. I had some dudes I was in the middle of the board, and I had my Imperial Guard army, which is only 1,750 points. Maybe about 1,900 if I really stuffed it full of upgrades and added a Commissar Lord and a Sentinel that I have. And so, to really boost it up to Apocalypse level, I added my 3 super heavy tanks that I've never used before. One was a Baneblade that I bought just because I thought it looked awesome, and the other 2 were Shadow Sword kits that James and Stark Lord and Matt got me for my birthday. And I converted them into multiple blades so they can actually configure into all the different chassis types. And so I brought him out for this board, and I was like, okay, I got this fine. I got a Baneblade, I got a Shadow Sword, and I got a Bane Sword, and I got all these tanks all around. I'm good. So turn 1 goes around, and my Baneblade mows down a whole bunch of dudes. I think by itself and the Bane Sword, it took out 2 complete units of Imperial Guard regiments in one shot. And the Shadow Sword did a little bit of damage from this Imperial Guard army that was off on the side. And by the bottom half of turn 2, I lost the Bane Sword and the Shadow Sword. Completely. So I was only left with the Baneblade and my regular troop guys, which were being mauled down by flies. It was really bad. So everyone was focusing on this Baneblade because it just was, it's full of guns. Out of all of them, it's the most heavily armored super heavy that I had. And they just could destroy this thing. Nothing they did could destroy it. I think they managed to do 1 structure point halfway through the game, and then cut its movement down in half. Everything else was just, gun crew shaken, drive crew shaken. They could, that was all they could do about this thing. And when I mean they threw everything at it, I mean there was battle tanks shooting at it, Vanquisher cannons firing at it, Manticores, Gene Stealers assaulted it, Space Wolves with crack grenades and power fist assaulted it. I think a squad of Space Marines with melt-a-bombs acted at one point. I mean, a couple of super heavies fired at it. It was taking all this fire, and they just couldn't do any damage to the thing. And meanwhile, on its turn, it was blowing up Gene Stealers and Tyranids left and right. It was mowing down a good chunk of guys as it was going. It was just basically going, leave me alone, stop shooting at me, and it was just phenomenal how much it got to the point where people were determined to kill this thing. And by the end, the guy running the game is like, how could your tank still be surviving? This is crazy. And it was, in fact, actually, a Thunderhawk landed right behind the Baneblade and dropped all of the Space Wolves around it. And the Baneblade, and my preemptory Baneblade, didn't really like that. So he turned its main turret around, fired at the thing, took 1 structure point damage away from the Thunderhawk, and made it lose the ability to fire its main cannon. And at that point, the Eldar came in and took care of the Thunderhawk for me. But I was just like, how is this Baneblade surviving all this? And it wasn't until the very last turn that it got destroyed. I moved it out of the way to try and give it some more cover and try and give it some repairs, and the Shadow Sword fired one lucky shot at the thing and did 2 structure point damage to it, killing it, and an apocalyptic explosion. And so it exploded in this huge giant fireball. And it was just so impressive. I mean, I was like, wow, I think this is the first time I've ever seen a Baneblade live up to the fluff that these things are told about, which was ironic because we were talking through the game going, yeah, you know, what's so bland about them is the fact that, you know, they're talking about being this awesome super stuff and, you know, walking titans of death that could take down all this stuff and not be killed, and they always seem to be destroyed so easily. Well, that wasn't true for this Baneblade. It took 4 turns of Apocalypse combat to get rid of it, and it was only one lucky dice roll that actually managed to do it. So it was pretty intense. And so that's a new model of a Legacy that I've got here. I'm actually planning on decorating it out with all these extra bits that I got from my Titan kit, just to make it more mechanic-y, because I think it's earned it by this point. And at that, the GM guy that was running it didn't know it had a name. He's like, you gotta name that tank! That tank needs a name! It's earned its legacy! And I was like, oh, it's already got one! It's so cool. And so that's basically my model of the Legacy this week. Actually, there's one more I can talk about, which is my Fire Dragons with my Eldar. Now, these Fire Dragons are actually known for just being dirty on the field, and by that I mean they just wreck everything in their path. In their very first game as a squad, they actually dropped 4 tanks, one right after the other. And what I mean by that is, like, they literally just, turn 1, fire, dead. Turn 2, fire, dead. One actually tried to tank shock them, and they immobilized it with a single melt-a-bomb without even trying, and they just walked away and proceeded to just clear out the field of troopers, dropping every guy's left and right. It was just ridiculous. In another game that happened with them, a friend didn't want to deal with them anymore, so he brought in a Valkyrie and fired at them, killing all but the Exarch. And the Exarch didn't stand for that. The very next round, the Exarch one-shotted it down to the ground, like hit it, wrecked it, and it fell to the ground, and that was the end of it. It was just crazy how it happened. They came out onto the field and they just started schooling down a bunch of sisters, and it got to the point where the Sisters of Battle guy was like, oh crap, and tried to kill them as fast as possible because he didn't want them to wreck any of his tanks because he knew just how nasty these guys were in previous games. And actually, one of their most famous events was during a kill team match. I was playing with Matt and a couple of other guys, and Matt had a biker and a couple of Space Marines, and he set the biker to take out the Fire Dragon, going, it's a Black Templar biker, he's gonna wreck right through them, no problem. And the Fire Dragon went on for 4 rounds of close combat. I mean, like, blow for blow, striking back. The Fire Dragon couldn't hurt the biker, but the biker just kept wailing on him, and he kept passing his armor save. And eventually a couple of other Space Marines came in to give the biker support, and the Fire Dragon's just like, dead, dead, let's go back to our one-on-one combat. And Matt was just sitting there going, this can't be happening. He should be dead. He should not be surviving this. I am a Black Templar. You're a Fire Dragon. And I'm just like, we're awesome. What can I say? It was so awesome. I was really happy. And just the fact that he was just getting so enraged by it, I was just like, that's Eldar for you. We tick you off and move on. And so now tell me, do you guys have any models with a legacy? Some models have done something crazy awesome or something really terrible that it's just kind of embarrassing. Well, if you do, leave a comment here on the video and tell me about it. I'm sure we'd all like to hear about it. Or better yet, if you can, post a video response to this so we can actually see the model and actually get to see what it looked like and hear the tale as well. And hopefully I could get James and Starklord and Matt to talk about some models on this channel as well. Especially Matt, because he has this really awesome model that's just phenomenal. It's legend through all of us. And hopefully he'll talk a little bit about it. So, that's all for now. Until next time, Fearless Gamers, take care!